right, good morning. How are you today? Welcome. So nice to have you here on Fasting Space. Going to be diving in today on fasting wealth, a topic I'm going to introduce to you. Pat is here. Happy Monday. Good to see you. Good to see you. This fun little thing that lets me bring up the messages on the screen hasn't been working so well lately, so it looks like another day where I can't do that, but good to have you here. When I say wealth, what do you think of? If you're like me, you think great financial resources, maybe you think about some wealthy, powerful person. I'm going to try to expand our thinking today from wealth as simply a financial state to this concept, which I really love, which is that health is wealth. Health might be the most important type of wealth that there is. Something that we so take for granted, say the type of thing that you don't appreciate it until it's gone. We have health, we have flourishing, we're feeling good, everything is good, it's like it just melts into the background. You don't even realize it until it's gone, and then we see its absence. Health is wealth. Think if you have great wealth but not health, not an optimal state at all. Maybe I was reading it in a book last year. It was saying, what if someone comes, they offer you, just as a silly hypothetical, say you can have $1 billion, but you have to have like a miserable cold for the rest of your life. So every day you're going to have a headache and stuffed up and, you'll be feeling terrible. Who would make that trade? Probably some people would, but definitely not me. I tell you, I don't want to feel miserable for the rest of my life. Achy joints and all the stuff. I say, no, thank you. I will take my health every day. We've been discussing on the channel health as a creative process about something that you build. So there's a lot of financial parallels. People talk about building wealth financially. I say health is wealth, and let's build wealth, meaning building health. That's what we're going to be diving into. Did you take my challenge last week, Friday? I said try to get outside, enjoy some nature. Were you able to get out? I took my own medicine, and I brought my camera and recorded a little reflection for us. So walked down to the lake at 8:30, so it's almost like it's live. It's live, but it was Saturday. I recorded these ducks swimming around and spent some time myself reflecting on last week. And the reflection I was having in this space was especially on that discussion we had about comparison. How it's really not optimal to compare ourselves to others. Sometimes we can trick ourselves into thinking that we will do it, and it'll be good. We find someone less fortunate than us, and we say, oh, aren't I happy that I am more fortunate or that I'm doing better? But then we dug into the emotional space of it and said, well, really isn't that really not a very thoughtful space either? And then, of course, most of the time, we compare ourselves to someone who we say or we see is doing better, has more money, more success, having more success on a weight loss path. If we're moving toward that, we say maybe we are on a path, maybe we're moving in a direction. We start comparing ourselves, and either we're puffing up the ego or we're making ourselves feel miserable. So we don't want to do it. And so as I was sitting here watching the ducks, watching the sun coming out, it was reminding me of comparison of a book I read a few years ago. This book, did you ever read it? The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I really enjoyed this book. I don't know when I read it. When was this published? A few years ago. But I thought it was very thoughtful. And it was dialing me in on a specific section I wanted to share with you. And then it really got me thinking, okay, health is wealth. He kind of even goes there in the book. But especially comparison. So I'm going to share this little section with you to frame our thinking. Chapter 9. This is from chapter 9, titled, Wealth is What You Don't See. And so he's speaking of financial wealth. But hey, this is a really helpful thing for us to dial into already. Wealth is what you don't see. As we head toward fasting wealth, we're going to really think of that. Morgan writes, money has many ironies, and here's an important one. Wealth is what you don't see. He distinguishes here between riches and wealth. Riches, and this is what we're thinking too as we're heading toward our mindset. Fasting space, getting a handle on consumption. Riches is like the consumption that you see, the fancy cars, the big houses, the expensive meals, the designer clothes, right? This is like riches, and it's consumption. It's actually using wealth. Wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the quiet part, the cars that aren't bought, the vacation homes that aren't purchases, the boat that's, everything that money could be turned into that isn't. The consumption that's avoided, that's wealth. He describes this time where he was working as a valet, when he was younger. The author. Mid-2000s in LA, a scene where material appearance takes precedence over everything but oxygen. So he's parking all these nice cars. He says, you see a Ferrari driving around, you might intuitively assume that the owner of the car is rich, even if you're not paying much attention. But as I got to know more and more people, I realized this wasn't always the case. Many were mediocre successes who spent a huge percentage of their paycheck on a car. I remember a fellow we'll call Roger, about my age. I had no idea what he did, but he drove a Porsche, which was enough for most people to draw assumptions. And then one day Roger arrived in an old Honda. And the same the next week, and then the next. What happened to your Porsche? I asked. It was repossessed after defaulting on his car loan, he said, without a morsel of shame. He responded like he was telling the next play in the game. Every assumption you might have made about him was wrong. LA is full of such people. This is what I was saying last week about the comparison. That's what I was thinking as I was sitting here by the water. I was like, oh, this is like that story that he told in The Psychology of Money. You have no idea someone else's experience. We tell all these stories that we create about other people and their experience. We have no idea what we're comparing ourselves to. He goes on, someone driving a $100,000 car might be wealthy, but the only data point you have about their wealth is that they have $100,000 less than they did before they bought the car, or $100,000 in more debt, and that's all you know. We tend to judge wealth by what we see, because that's the information that we have in front of us. And remember from our psychology book we've been working through, what we see is all there is. Like our intuitive emotional system, it just takes what it can see and it weaves a story. We can't see people's bank accounts or brokerage statements, so we rely on outward appearance to gauge a financial success. Cars, houses, Instagram photos. Modern capitalism makes helping people fake it until they make it into a cherished industry. But the truth is that wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the watches not worn. Wealth is financial assets that you haven't yet converted into the stuff that you see. And that's not how we think about wealth, because you can't contextualize what you can't see. And then we're going to take it another level. Here we're talking only about money, but then we've already established, okay, wealth is much bigger, money not of much use if we don't have health. So as we're heading here in this Thanksgiving week, right, when we're having gratitude and thankfulness for so many things, we want to think, what are the things that are truly valuable? Our family and relationships and health. He discusses a famous singer who nearly went bankrupt over overspending and sued their financial advisor, and the advisor responded, was it really necessary to tell them that if you spend money on things that you will end up with things and not money? You can laugh, but the answer is yes, people do need to be told this. When most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they actually mean is, I'd like to spend $1 million, and that's literally the opposite of accumulating wealth. Investor Bill Mann once wrote, there's no faster way to feel rich than to spend lots of money on nice things, but the way to be rich is to spend money you have and not to spend money you don't. It's really that simple. It's excellent advice, but it may not go far enough. The only way to be wealthy is to not spend money that you do have. It's not just the only way. It's the very definition of wealth. Not spend money you don't have. We're going to turn this in, okay, fasting wealth. The consumption that is avoided. We want to create health. We want to give space to allow health to flourish in the body. The consumption avoided is how we build fasting wealth. We should, yes, I kind of talked through this. He says we should be careful to define the difference between wealthy and rich. It's more than semantics. Not knowing the difference is a source of countless poor money decisions. Rich is a current income. Someone driving a $100,000 car is almost certainly rich, because even if they purchase the car with debt, you need a certain level of income to afford the monthly payment. Same with those who live in big homes. Not hard to spot rich people. They often go out of their way to make themselves known, but wealth is hidden. It is income not spent. Wealth is an option not yet taken. Its value lies in offering you options and flexibility and growth to one day purchase something that you couldn't now. This is also what clicked in with me. Listen how it goes. Diet and exercise offer a useful analogy. Losing weight is notoriously hard, even among those putting in the work of vigorous exercise. In his book, The Body, Bill Bryson explains, one study in America found that people overestimate the number of calories they burned in a workout by a factor of 4. And they also consumed on average about twice as many calories as they had just burned off. Oh, then they did. And the fact is, you can quickly undo a lot of exercise by eating a lot of food, and most of us do. He says, exercise is like being rich. You think I did the work, and now I should eat a big meal as a reward. Wealth is turning down the treat meal and actually burning net calories. It's hard. It requires self-control. But it creates a gap between what you could do and what you choose to do that accrues to you over time. This is where I was starting to dial in on this concept of fasting wealth. You think, how do you build wealth? We understand that. You spend less, then you are bringing in, and you save a portion. We're talking about losing weight. He brings in, okay, there does have to be a calorie deficit. Fasting, I will tell you, the easiest and most gentle. And I use that word carefully. Easiest. I didn't say easy. The easiest way for most people to actually eat less is to fast. How many times, maybe you have gone through, share an experience. People struggle to diet. To always eat less than you want is a psychological burden. And we discussed we have limited mental capital. Limited mental capital. So open up a fasting space, though, a space where you can flow through without burden. That's the goal. Doesn't mean it's easy to do that, but it's a practice that you can train. Charlie Munger, late great investor, always invert. He said, always invert. So we can think of the energy in the body that we are wanting to burn down, like a bank account. We can think about, all right, we have accumulated more energy. Energy is a type of wealth. Energy is wealth. Munger would say, I think, invert. Right? So instead of saying, well, we're just drawing down that account, that's what I'm saying, let's invert it and actually build up our fasting wealth. Then it starts to line up with the concept, like we're saying, about how do you build wealth, about creating a gap, the consumption that is avoided. That's fasting wealth. And we can create this mirror in the logic of building financial wealth through saving and living within our means. Fasting, so much in alignment with that, about bringing consumption into a sustainable and balanced pattern, consuming less, bringing things into balance, is creating this gap that we can save. And as we're trying to build health, the foundation of wealth, that's like what I would say is like a real health savings account, where we're actually saving health by bringing our consumption into a pattern that works with what the body's trying to do. The problem for many of us is that it is easy to find rich role models. It's harder to find wealthy ones because by definition their success is more hidden. There are, of course, wealthy people who also spend a lot of money on stuff. But even in these cases, what we see is just their richness and not their wealth. We see the cars they choose to buy. We don't see their savings or investment portfolios. We see the homes they bought, not the ones they could have bought if they had stretched themselves. The danger is that I think most people deep down want to be wealthy. They want freedom and flexibility, which is what financial assets not yet spent can give you, which is what health can give you, right? Freedom and literally flexibility. That is health. But it's so ingrained in us that to have money is to spend money. That to have food available is to consume food, is to have a pleasurable experience. That we don't get to see the restraint that it takes to actually be wealthy. This is why I really love the idea of building a fasting community of people as more and more people come in and we can share stories. What does it actually look like to walk the path? To bring a situation into balance, to be healthy, to see health flourish. As we see more and more people do it, start to normalize it, because we've said in this culture, it's not normal that people are walking this path. It's normal that people are in a consumption culture. That's why people not healthy in a large measure. And so we're saying we're trying to build health, store up that health, build a real health savings account. How do you build a health savings account? Not just the money, right? The actual health. How do you build that up? Avoid the consumption. Just like you want to build the bank account, lower the consumption level, don't even have to earn more. You're opening up more money that can be saved, right? Trying to lose weight, trying to give space for health to flourish. Open up the space means bring down the consumption in a space to create that fasting wealth gap. Store that health experience. See, it's not a physical currency. It's not like a dollar bill that you can transact, but it still accrues to your account. The real magic in finance, compounding, right? You want something that compounds. Our health decisions compound ultimately because There's no middleman. There's no broker taking a 2% or 2 and 20 or anything. That health accrues to us across our life. You want to make the biggest investment, make it in our health. People are good at learning by imitation, but the hidden nature of wealth makes it hard to imitate others and learn their ways. After he died, Ronald Read became many people's financial role model. He told this story earlier in the book. The gentleman who is a janitor who worked, I think, minimum wage his whole life, but he lived very meagerly and ended up dying with millions of dollars that he was able to leave to his family. Crazy story. Imagine how hard it would be to learn to write if you couldn't read the works of the great authors. Who would be your inspiration? Difficult to learn from what you can't see. The world is filled with people who look modest but are actually wealthy, and people who look rich but who live on the razor's edge of insolvency. Keep this in mind when judging others' success and setting your own goals. Don't compare yourselves to others. That was our message from the other day. So many good insights from this. Maybe we do more just on that book. I really enjoyed thinking about that book this weekend and this parallel. Many analogies and parallels that we can draw between financial health. Think people say lasting wealth, say fasting health. Something in lasting wealth, fasting health, fasting wealth, kind of interchangeable, these concepts. How do we bring these concepts into a place that really helps us see what is going on? Maybe it's that one, just thinking, of energy in the body. Like I had said, the bank account. Can be a way you can see it. This is like a physical bank account. We can see it, we can weigh it. Like weighing our gold coins. Like we can actually see the weight. Say, well, you can think of that like a currency. Energy is a currency. Maybe it's helpful to just look at it that way and say, opening up a fasting space, it's like we've saved this savings account. Time to make a withdrawal. I do like that as an analogy. And then invert it. Saving up health savings account. Think of like a fasting token. If I opening up this fasting space, maybe you could do it. Create fasting tokens and see, here I'm building it up. Something tangible to hang on to. Like our little stone, right? Something you can see, because they say wealth is what you don't see, right? And so many times health and health decisions are invisible. You don't see them. Especially if we're in an old-timey economy and we actually got some, silver coin for our day's wages, we could hold it. We see, I did this work and this came to me. So many things in health we don't see, though, like the snack we didn't eat is just not there. Like the fasting space, it's nothing. Like we were saying the other day, how do you hold on to nothing? It's the absence of the things. Makes it difficult to hang on to. But if every time you opened up a fasting space, you got like a little token, maybe you want to do that in your week. Every time I successfully make it through this space, I get myself a little gold coin. Doesn't have to be a real gold coin. Can be some Monopoly money, but if you could see it stacking up, say, hey, look at this. I've stacked like 7 of these things together this week. And how did it go? Or you say, start after Thanksgiving week, We've said we got this whole week. This week is like a celebration. Fasting really, to me, is for like the boring week. Is for like when the family's not around. You have to have a very interesting family to get together for a holiday and, declare a fast and say, hey, let's all lose weight together or whatever. But think about this week. This is what I will say for us this week. As we're thinking about Thanksgiving, as we're thinking about the true valuable things in life, where does health rank on that priority list for you? How can we think about accumulating health to ourselves? And is that a higher priority than any sort of financial situation? I would say, I think so. Top priority for me. To do it myself, I want to be healthy, I think about, the longevity. I want to stay active, being able to do as many things as long as possible. To me, fasting, one of the things that helps you do that. Along with every other good practice, put only the healthiest food into the body, move the body in healthy ways, exercise it, practice it, and all these things moving together. Opening up a fasting space, clearing out the insulin level. You can't see that. You can't see it. But that is creating a value in the body. Building up value in the body, lowering the insulin level. These hormones that are doing what they do behind the scenes. Allowing access to that bank account, right? Fasting is like, what's the PIN number, to get into the account? I want to log in. I want to make a withdrawal. What are the processes that help you do that? So often we're eating and then exercising, and then it's like we're creating this layer in between where we can't really get to the bank account, right? We want to clear out the energy, drop the hormonal environment. It's like putting the pin in the cash machine. We want to make a withdrawal of that energy, right? Open up some fasting space and then train yourself. This would be the bonus. Like I said, nobody has to do it. Start training your body to handle some exercise in a fasting space. Now there's no food there. We've burned through all that. Body's like, okay, what is next? Well, look at this. Okay, we've stored this energy reserve for us. Time to make a withdrawal. This is how we access the energy bank account in the body. Make a withdrawal. This is like the energy retirement plan. We've gone through our capital accumulation phase, and now we say, okay, now we got to maintain, figure out, what is the withdrawal rate from the IRA or whatever it is, right? We want to get into that space where we're accessing that energy storage plan. I always tell people you got to walk before you can run. In a fasting space, you're going to try to exercise. You got to sit before you can even walk. Don't try to do too much too fast. Got to be able to sit in a fasting space and just let the body run. Most of the energy we're using in our body is actually just running the bodily processes, the heart beating, the breathing, the digestion, the thinking. Okay, that's most of the energy. And doing exercise on top of that is pushing things to the next level. Got to be gentle with that. Pat, I wish I could throw your thing up on the screen, but Pat says, great concept, withdrawing the stored energy for living life, not just burning it. Yeah, I really love the concept, and like you said, not wasting it, like using it to empower you and push things forward, living life. Sometimes I even think that way, if I go to the gym or I'm exercising, I'm just like lifting weights, and I think to myself like, oh, like here I am lifting these weights to like help the body be strong, but I'm like, I think like I could be doing work with this, like how many boxes could I be moving? How much things could I be doing? And here I'm just doing this pointless activity. Not pointless, mind you. Good for the body, there's only so many things. But yes, taking that in and realizing all this energy is energy for life. Our body, like I've tried to say so many times, body is not broken. Body has not even really been damaged on a certain way of thinking. Health can spring forth in a fasting space. I just want people to see this. The metabolism, yes, people's metabolism can slow way down, but we can crank it back up again. Blood sugar and insulin resistance can be happening in the body, but those things can go away again. So many good things happening in a fasting space. And you see, then we start to see the great value of it. And we say, well, if health is wealth, what is a practice that helps health to flourish would be incredibly valuable. And then what a paradox to say that something is nothing. This is wild to me. I just think it's wild. Very, very valuable process. Think how overlooked it is in our society. This is totally a culture focused on consumption. And then Thanksgiving, this is the thing. This is something to really dial our mindsets to. Thanksgiving, when we dial back into the original story, settlers coming in had been starving to death, and then in a scenario, people helping them, people sharing food, celebrating the fact that we have enough to survive. Whoa, so just taking some space in this Thanksgiving, thinking about really bring an intensity. I would say let's bring in an intensity into our gratitude for food and family and life and health, and the fact that we aren't, living in some really brutal existence on the brink of starving. Wow, so much gratitude. And then coming in and seeing if health is really wealth, and food in a mix with a fasting space, all these things, this is what's truly valuable in life. Spend time with our family. Maybe have some discussions about things like this with our family if we can. Would be really great, just to really bring in the gratitude to all these things. I hope it is a great week for you. Think on these thoughts. We'll be doing more thinking about things like this. Dial in this week. Good food. I want you to enjoy it. Find so much gratitude for it. Be looking forward to it. Enjoy it. Thanksgiving. Finding gratitude for the health that we have, whatever situation we're in. Maybe you're in a situation, hey, my health isn't so great. Okay, we're still here. We have an opportunity. We find gratitude for what we have. We use every tool we have at our disposal to invest in our health, to build up that health to the greatest extent possible. Use the good energy that is flowing. Like Pat said, this energy for living. Fire ourselves up, build the enthusiasm, build the health practices that are accruing to us. Use that to bring that energy out into the world in service, to help others in any domain, especially also to help others to be healthy, bring people along. Such a beautiful way to do it. So I hope it's a great week. I will be back tomorrow, more thinking on these types of topics. We kind of hit a little bit of a harder one today. Okay, fasting wealth, and how do we dial in on that account? And then we'll see where we go. I got a couple ideas planned up for tomorrow, but especially then into the end of the week, we want to just be floating through a space. That's my vision for a holiday. Anybody in any space, bring any sort of intensity to any day that they want, but especially I love the quote, preservation is progress. We're going to get, especially in the Thursday, and we say, hey, I'm going to enjoy this space. And anything that happens on any one day, from a health perspective, as far as what you're eating, what you're doing, it's not a big deal. Like we were saying last week, okay, it's not really a test. Don't look at Thanksgiving as a test. It's just a celebration. Have the beautiful day. We've already passed the test. We're on a path that works. Right? And then we're going to preserve, get through a space, and then enjoy it. Then we'll look back fondly upon it, remember how great it was, and then we will be right back on the path, stepping forward in health, finding joy on the journey. absolutely the things we want to be doing. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you back here tomorrow. So thanks so much for being here.